At my brother's birthday party, I surprised him with a gift I could barely afford. But he turned around and said, "Are always in the way," and my heart broke in a way that could never heal. It started with my brother Jake's 30th birthday party. Sarah, my girlfriend of 4 years, had been planning it for weeks. She loved Jake like her own brother, spent hours making his favorite cake from scratch, coordinated with all his friends. She was perfect like that. Always thinking of others first. I should have been helping her. Instead, I was texting Emma from work. Emma had started at our company 3 months earlier. Blonde, funny, gave me attention that felt intoxicating after 4 years of comfortable routine with Sarah. The text started innocent. Work stuff, then complaints about our boss, then inside jokes, then good morning messages. Sarah noticed me smiling a night during dinner one night. "Work emergency?" she asked, that trusting smile I'd grown to take for granted. "Yeah, just Jake being Jake," I lied. First lie of thousands to come. The night before Jake's party, Emma texted me at midnight. "Can't sleep, thinking about." My heart pounded like I was 17 again. Sarah was asleep next to me, one arm draped across my chest like she'd done every night for years. She trusted me completely. That trust should have been a wall I couldn't cross. Instead, I climbed right over it, thinking about too. I typed back. That's when I crossed the line. That's when I became the guy I swore I'd never be. The guy who lies to the woman who loves him, the guy who sneaks around. The guy who thinks he deserves more than what he has. The party was at our apartment. Sarah had transformed our living room with decorations, photos of Jake from childhood to now. She'd invited everyone he cared about. Spent money we didn't really have on his favorite whiskey. She was wearing this blue dress I'd bought her for our anniversary, the one that made her eyes look like the ocean. I kept checking my phone. Emma was at some bar downtown sending me photos. "We're here instead," she wrote under a selfie that made my stomach flip. Jake opened his presents while everyone gathered around. Sarah had gotten him a vintage vinyl of his favorite band, something she'd been hunting for on eBay for months. He hugged her so tight and thanked her with tears in his eyes. My turn, I'd bought him a watch. Nothing special, something I grabbed at the mall that morning because I'd been too busy texting Emma to think about my own brother's birthday. It cost more than I should have spent, but I thought expensive meant thoughtful. Jake opened the box, looked at the watch, looked at me. "Thanks, man, but no, I don't wear watches, right? Never have." Sarah even mentioned it to last week when asked what to get me. The room went quiet. Everyone was looking at me. Sarah's face went pale because she knew. She knew I hadn't been listening. Hadn't been present. Hadn't cared enough about my own brother to remember one simple thing about him. I just thought. I started, but Jake me off. "Know what, forget it. Thanks for the thought, I guess." He set the watch aside and moved to the next gift. But the damage was done. Sarah pulled me into the kitchen. "Where were?" she whispered, tears starting to form. "Where have been lately? It's like here but not really here." I should have come clean. Should have told her about Emma, about the texts, about how I'd been emotionally cheating for months. Should have begged for forgiveness and contact with Emma that very night. Instead, I got defensive. "I'm right here, Sarah. I got him a nice gift. I'm sorry he doesn't like watches." "It's not about the watch," she said, voice breaking. "It's about not knowing own brother. It's about being distracted all the time. It's about me feeling like I'm dating a ghost." My phone buzzed. Emma again. "Missing at this boring bar." Sarah saw me glance at it, saw the way my face changed. "Who is that?" "Work. At 9 p.m. on a Saturday. It's important." She stared at me for a long moment. I could see her trying to decide whether to push it, whether to demand to see my phone, whether to trust me one more time. She chose trust, like she always did. "Okay," she said quietly. "I believe point." Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. She believed me. After I'd been lying to her face for months, she still chose to believe me. Any decent person would have broken down and confessed everything right there. I went to the bathroom and texted Emma back instead. The party ended around 11. Sarah cleaned while I helped, by checking my phone every 30 seconds. Emma wanted to meet, said she was at a hotel bar 20 minutes away. Said she'd been thinking about me all night. Sarah was washing dishes, humming softly to herself. She always hummed when she was content. She thought the party had gone well despite my gift disaster. She was already planning Jake's next birthday in her head, probably making mental notes about what he really liked. "I'm going to run out for cigarettes," I told her. "Since when do smoke?" "Jake got me one earlier." "Want to grab a pack?" Another lie. They were getting easier. She my cheek. "Don't be long. I want to cuddle and talk about the party." I drove to that hotel like my depended on it. Like Emma would disappear if I didn't get there fast enough. Like what we were about to do was inevitable instead of a choice I was actively making. She was at the bar in a black dress, hair down, looking nothing like the colleague I worked with every day, looking like someone who could make me forget about responsibilities and commitments and the woman at home washing our dishes. Came, she smiled and I was lost. We talked for an hour. About everything except Sarah. About work, about dreams, about places we wanted to travel. She made me feel interesting again. Made me feel wanted in a way that felt different from comfortable, domestic love. When she suggested we get a room, I didn't say no. I should have said no. Should have thought about Sarah at home, probably in her pajamas by now, waiting for me to come back so we could talk about our future, about marriage, about the we'd been building together for 4 years. Instead, I followed Emma to the elevator. The hotel room was generic. Beige walls, stiff sheets, the kind of place designed for people to make mistakes they can't take back. Emma kicked off her heels and sat on the bed. Looked at me with those big eyes. "Are sure about this?" she asked. I wasn't sure about anything. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. Every cell in my body was screaming that this was wrong, that I was about to destroy the best thing in my for 30 minutes with someone I barely knew. But I nodded anyway. What happened next isn't important. What's important is what I felt afterward. Lying in that hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I'd just someone. Feeling like I'd taken everything good about and set it on fire. Emma was in the shower. My phone had 7 missed calls from Sarah. 7 calls. She'd never called me 7 times in a row before. Something was wrong. I called her back, hands shaking so hard I could barely dial. Oh, thank God, she answered on the first ring. "Where are?" "Jake collapsed. We're at the hospital." The room started spinning. "What?" "I don't know what happened. He just went down after everyone left. The ambulance came and I rode with him, but he keeps asking for, and I didn't know where we're and phone was going straight to voicemail and she was crying. Sarah was crying and scared and dealing with a medical emergency alone while I was in a hotel bed, and guilty and the worst person alive. I'm coming right now. Which cigarette store we're at for 2 hours? I couldn't answer. Couldn't think of another lie. Could barely think at all. I'll explain when I get there. I said, which wasn't an answer at all. Emma came out of the shower as I was getting dressed. Everything okay? My brother's in the hospital. Oh my God, is he? I don't know, I have to go. She nodded, suddenly looking as guilty as I felt. As if we both just realized what we'd done. What we'd chosen over the people who actually mattered. I drove to the hospital going 80 in a 40 zone. Praying to a God I hadn't talked to in years. Praying that Jake would be okay. Praying that Sarah wouldn't ask too many questions about where I'd been. Praying that somehow I could take back the last 3 hours and make different choices. But can't take back betrayal. Can't unfold a lie. Can't uncheat on someone who loves. I found Sarah in the waiting room still in that blue dress, mascara streaked down her cheeks. She ran to me when she saw me, buried her face in my chest. He's stable, she said. They think it was just exhaustion and dehydration. Too much stress at work, not enough sleep. But I was so scared and weren't answering and I needed. She needed me. The woman I just cheated on needed me and I hadn't been there. Had been too busy destroying our relationship to answer her calls. I held her while she cried, smelling Emma's perfume on my clothes, tasting Emma's lipstick on my mouth, feeling like the lowest form of on earth. I'm here now, I whispered into her hair. But I wasn't really there, not anymore. I'd left the real me in that hotel room along with my integrity and my right to call a good person. Jake was fine, just needed rest and better choices. The irony wasn't lost on me. We got home at sunrise. Sarah was exhausted, emotionally drained. She wanted to shower and sleep, wanted me to hold her while she processed the fear of almost losing Jake. I couldn't touch her. Couldn't look at her without seeing Emma. Couldn't lie next to her knowing what I'd done just hours before. I'm gonna sleep on the couch, I said. Don't want to keep awake with my tossing and turning. She looked at me strangely. Since when do worry about keeping me awake? Just tired. It's been a long night. Another lie. They were becoming automatic now. She my forehead and went to bed. I sat on the couch until noon, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the night before. Trying to figure out how I'd become this person. How I'd gone from someone who loved Sarah completely to someone who could betray her while she planned birthday parties and rode in ambulances alone. My phone buzzed. Emma. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you at work Monday. I stared at that text for an hour. This was my chance. My chance to end it before it went any further. To delete her number and pretend it never happened. To somehow find a way back to being the person Sarah deserved. Instead I texted back, May 2. Because apparently I hadn't learned anything. Apparently I was going to keep making the same mistake over and over until there was nothing left of mine to destroy. Sarah woke around 2. Found me still on the couch. Made me lunch even though she'd barely slept. Asked if I wanted to talk about Jake, about how scared she'd been. About how much our family meant to her. I nodded and smiled and said all the right things while planning my next lie. My next excuse to see Emma. My next betrayal of the woman who loved me enough to make my brother's birthday cake from scratch. That's when I knew I was already lost. Monday came like a sentence. I sat in my car outside the office for 20 minutes, knowing Emma was inside. Knowing I had to face her. Knowing I should walk in there and end whatever this was before it destroyed everything I'd built with Sarah. Instead I walked straight to Emma's desk. She smiled, that same smile that had gotten me into this mess. How's brother? He's fine. Just needed rest. Good. I was worried about. She touched my arm, casual but electric. Want to grab coffee? We should talk about Saturday night. I should have said no. Should have said we made a mistake and it couldn't happen again. Should have transferred departments or quit my job or moved to another state. Sure, I said instead. We went to the coffee shop across the street. The same one where Sarah and I had our first date 5 years ago. Where she'd spilled lad on her white dress and laughed instead of crying. Where I'd known I was going to love her forever. Emma ordered the same thing Sarah always did. Extra, no foam. The universe has a sick sense of humor. So Emma said, sitting across from me in the booth where Sarah and I had planned our future. Where does this leave us? I don't know, I said honestly. Which was the most honest I'd been in weeks. I like. She said simply. Lot, but I'm not trying to be anyone's secret. If want this to be something real, need to figure out situation at home. My situation at home. Like Sarah was a problem to be solved instead of the woman who'd held my hand through my father's funeral. Who'd stayed all night when I had food. Who'd believed every lie I told her because she trusted me completely. It's complicated, I said. It's only complicated if make it complicated. Either want to be with her or want to be with me. Can't have both. She was right, course. But making a choice meant admitting what I'd done. Meant accepting that I'd become the kind of person who cheats on someone who loves them. Meant facing consequences I wasn't ready to face. I need time, I said. She nodded. Okay. But not forever. I'm not going to wait around while decide if I'm worth it. That afternoon I came home to Sarah making my favorite dinner. Pasta with the sauce that takes 3 hours to make properly. She'd taken off work early to surprise me. Thought could use some comfort food after this weekend. She said, kissing my cheek. Plus I wanted to talk about something. My stomach dropped. She knew. Somehow she knew about Emma and the hotel and everything. This was it. The moment my lies caught with me. Jake called today, she continued, and I almost collapsed with relief. He feels terrible about the watch thing. Wants to take us both out to dinner this weekend to make for it. He doesn't need to do that. I know, but no Jake. He's been thinking about what he said, about how it came out wrong. He doesn't want to think he doesn't appreciate thoughtful gifts. Thoughtful gifts. There was nothing thoughtful about that watch. I'd bought it while texting another woman. Grabbed the first expensive thing I saw because I was too distracted by my affair to care about my own brother. Speaking of gifts, Sarah continued stirring the sauce. Our anniversary is next month. 4 years, can believe it. 4 years. 4 years of Sarah loving me completely, faithfully, without question. 4 years of building something real together. 4 years I was about to throw away for someone I barely knew. I was thinking we could go back to that bed and breakfast in Vermont, she said. Where we went for our second anniversary. Said it was the most peaceful weekend ever had. I remembered. We'd stayed in bed until noon both days, talked about everything and nothing, made love like we were the only two people in the world, planned our future together, kids' names, dream house where we'd be in 10 years. That sounds nice, I said, the words tasting like ash. She smiled and went back to cooking. Humming that little tune again, happy, trusting. Planning our anniversary while I planned my next betrayal. My phone buzzed. Emma. Thinking about. Can't concentrate on anything else. I looked at Sarah stirring sauce and humming, excited about our anniversary. Then I looked at my phone, at the message from Emma who was making it impossible to think straight. I typed back, same here. That night, Sarah wanted to cuddle and watch our show. Some comedy we'd been following for 2 seasons. She curled against me on the couch, head on my chest, laughing at jokes I could hear. My phone buzzing with messages from Emma. Seemed distracted. Sarah said during a commercial. Everything okay at work? Just a big project coming. Lot of pressure. Anything I can do to help? She always asked that. Always wanted to support me, to make my easier. I used to love that about her. Now it made me feel like I was drowning in guilt. I'm fine. Just need to focus on work for a while. She nodded and went back to the show, but I felt her watching me out of the corner of her eye. Felt her starting to worry, starting to question. The next few weeks were a blur of lies and close calls. Emma and I started meeting for lunch regularly. Work meetings, I told Sarah. Then after work drinks. Team building, I explained. Then weekend conferences, that were actually hotel rooms across town. Each lie got easier to tell. Each betrayal less. I was becoming someone I didn't recognize, someone who could look Sarah in the eyes and lie about where I'd been, who I'd been with, what I'd been doing. Sarah knew something was wrong. I could see it in the way she watched me, the questions she didn't ask, the space she started giving me when I used to never want space from her. Different lately, she said one morning over coffee. Distant, are having second thoughts about us. The question hung in the air like a loaded. This was my chance. My chance to be honest, to tell her what I'd done, to give her the choice about whether to forgive me or leave me. Of course not, I said instead. I know that. I used to know that, she said quietly. No, I'm not so sure. That should have been my wake call. The woman I claimed to love was questioning whether I actually loved her, was starting to doubt herself because of my behavior, was probably lying awake at night wondering what she'd done wrong, why I was pulling away, whether she was enough for me anymore. But instead of coming clean, I just got better at lying. I started leaving my phone face down, started taking showers immediately when I got home to wash off Emma's perfume. Started paying cash for everything so Sarah wouldn't see credit card charges from hotels and restaurants she'd never been to. I became a master manipulator. When Sarah asked about my day, I'd flip it around and ask about hers. When she seemed suspicious, I'd start about something else entirely. When she wanted to spend time together, I'd suddenly have work emergencies or family obligations. The worst part was how good I got at it. How natural the lies became. How easy it was to compartmentalize my into Sarah time and Emma time, never letting them overlap, never acknowledging that what I was doing to one affected the other. Emma started pushing for more. She wanted to meet my friends, wanted me to stay over at her place, wanted to know when I was going to figure out my situation. The affair was becoming a relationship in her mind. I was becoming her boyfriend while still living with my actual girlfriend. I'm tired of sneaking around, she said one afternoon in yet another hotel room. This feels cheap, like I'm just something due on the side. That's not what this is, I protested, even though that was exactly what it was. Then what is it? Because from where I'm sitting, go home to her every night and come to me when bored, or need an ego boost. She wasn't wrong, but hearing it out loud made it sound so much worse than I'd been telling. In my head this was a romance, a connection, something meaningful that justified the lies. In reality I was using Emma the same way I was betraying Sarah, taking what I wanted without considering the consequences for anyone else. I need more time, I said again. Time for what? Time to keep lying to both of us. Time to keep being a coward. That word hit like a coward. That's what I was. Too coward to leave Sarah. Too coward to stay faithful to her. Too coward to be honest with Emma about what this really was. Don't call me that, then prove me wrong. Make a choice, her or me. But stop stringing us both along like we're personal entertainment. I drove home that day feeling sick. Emma was right. I was being a coward. But making a choice meant admitting what I'd become. Meant accepting that I'd spent months lying to the woman I claimed to love. Meant facing the fact that I'd destroyed the best relationship I'd ever had for someone who was already getting tired of my games. Sarah was making dinner when I got home. Something simple, this and soup, comfort food. Rough day? She asked, looking at my face. Could say that. She handed me a bowl of soup and sat down across from me. We ate in silence for a few minutes. I've been thinking, she said finally. Maybe we should see a counselor. My spoon stopped halfway to my mouth. Why? Because we're falling apart and I don't know how to fix it. Because won't talk to me anymore. Because I feel like I'm living with a stranger. Counseling. Where a professional would ask probing questions about our relationship. Where Sarah might finally voice all the suspicions she'd been keeping to herself. Where I'd have to lie to a therapist while my girlfriend poured her heart out about feeling neglected and unloved. I think that's a bit dramatic, I said. Isaac, when's the last time we had? When's the last time told me about day without me having to drag it out of? When's the last time seemed happy to see me when came home? Each question was a to the gut because she was right. I'd been so focused on Emma I'd stopped being a boyfriend to Sarah. Had stopped being present in our relationship while somehow expecting her to wait around for me to figure out what I wanted. I've been stressed at work. For 2 months. Every single day for 2 months. It's a busy time. She stared at me across the table, and I could see her trying to decide whether to push harder or let it go. Whether to demand the truth or accept another excuse. Okay, she said finally. But something has to change. This isn't working anymore. That night she went to bed early. Said she had a headache, needed to sleep. But I heard her crying through the bedroom door. Soft, muffled sobs that she was trying to hide from me. The woman I loved was crying herself to sleep because of how I'd been treating her, and I was sitting on the couch texting Emma about when we could see each other next. That's when I knew I'd become a monster. Not the kind that hurts people with fists or harsh words. The kind that destroys them slowly, with neglect and lies and broken promises. The kind that takes someone's love and trust and uses it as a weapon against them. But even knowing that, even hearing Sarah cry because of me, I didn't stop. I kept seeing Emma, kept lying, kept telling I'd figure it out eventually, that I'd make a choice when the time was right, that somehow I could keep everyone happy without anyone getting. Because that's what cowards do. We tell ourselves comfortable lies right until the moment everything explodes. And trust me, it was about to in ways I couldn't even imagine. The end came on a Tuesday. Isn't that funny? Not during some dramatic confrontation or changing moment. Just a regular Tuesday when I thought I had everything under control. Sarah had been distant for weeks. Still making dinner, still sleeping in our bed, still going through the motions of being my girlfriend. But she'd stopped humming, stopped asking about my day, stopped trying to fix whatever was broken between us. I told this was better, easier. If she was pulling away too, then maybe my guilt would stop eating me alive. Maybe I could transition out of this relationship without having to face what I'd done. Emma had given me an ultimatum the week before. I'm done waiting, she'd said over lunch at our usual spot. I got offered a position in Chicago, better money, better opportunities. I'm taking unless give me a reason to stay. Chicago. 800 miles away, the perfect solution to my cohort's heart. When do you have to decide? I asked Friday. 3 days, Marcus. 3 days to figure out if what we have is real or if I'm just midlife crisis entertainment. I wasn't even having a midlife crisis. I was 28 years old, destroying my for no good reason except that I could. Because someone new wanted me and I was weak enough to want them back. That Tuesday Sarah had a doctor's appointment. Routine checkup, she said. She'd been tired lately, sleeping more than usual. Stress from watching our relationship, I assumed. Stress from loving someone who'd stopped deserving it. I'll probably be gone most of the afternoon, she said, kissing my forehead like she had every morning for 4 years. Doctor's office, then grocery shopping. Want me to pick anything special? Whatever, think, I said, not looking from my phone. Emma had texted about meeting that afternoon, her last week in town before Chicago. Her last chance for me to prove I was serious about her. Sarah stood in the doorway for a long moment looking at me. I could feel her watching, could sense her trying to memorize something, but I was too busy planning my afternoon with Emma to pay attention. Okay, she said softly. I love too. I replied automatically, fingers already typing a response to Emma. The door closed, Sarah left, and I had no idea I just said goodbye to the best person I'd ever known. Emma and I met at her apartment for the first time. She was packing boxes, her whole stuffed into cardboard containers labeled kitchen, and bedroom, and books. Feels weird, she said, taping a box. Packing my hair. Sure about Chicago? She looked at me like I was dense. That depends entirely on. We ended on her couch surrounded by boxes and bubble wrap, and for a moment it felt like playing house. Like we were a real couple making real plans. Like this could actually be my if I was brave enough to choose it. I could come with. I said, the words falling out before I could stop them. Facelit, seriously. I mean, hypothetically. If things could be different. That's the point. It's not that simple. It is that simple. Call Sarah, tell her it's over, and start fresh with me in Chicago. People do it every day. Sarah, the woman who'd believed every lie I'd told her. Who'd spent 4 years loving me completely. Who was at the doctor's office right now, probably getting drawn and answering questions about her stress levels, not knowing her boyfriend was planning to abandon her for someone he'd known for 6 months. What if she doesn't take it well? How else is she supposed to take it? Or breaking with her, not asking her to prom. Emma made it sound so casual. Like Sarah was just some obstacle to remove, not a human being with feelings and a we'd built together. Like 4 years of love and trust and shared dreams could be erased with one phone call. I need to think about it. Been thinking about it for months. What's left to think about? Everything. Sarah's face when I told her. Sarah's parents, who'd already accepted me as part of the family. The apartment we'd decorated together. The plans we'd made. The future I'd promised her and was about to steal away. But also Emma's eyes looking at me like I was someone worth leaving everything for. The excitement of starting over somewhere new. The possibility of a different with someone who hadn't seen me at my worst yet. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Doctor's appointment running long. Probably won't be home until dinner. Love. Even running late at the doctor's office, she was thinking about me. Making sure I knew where she was so I wouldn't worry. Still taking care of me while I planned to destroy her. I showed Emma the text. Perfect, she said. We have time. Like Sarah's absence was an opportunity instead of a reminder of how good she was. How trusting. How completely undeserving of what I was about to do to her. Emma and I spent the afternoon in her bed, surrounded by boxes, pretending this was the start of something beautiful instead of the continuation of something. Afterwards, she curled against me the way Sarah used to, back when I was someone who deserved that kind of intimacy. So, she said. Chicago. I looked around her half-packed apartment. At this she was ready to share with me. Then I thought about Sarah, probably sitting in some waiting room, reading magazines and thinking about what to make for dinner. Thinking about us, about our future, about how to fix whatever was wrong between us. Yes, I said. Let's do it. Emma me like I just proposed. Like I just made the smartest decision of my instead of the worst one. I'll call work tomorrow and accept the position. We can drive out together next weekend, find a job once we get there. Next weekend. 7 days to pack 4 years with Sarah. 7 days to figure out how to tell her I was leaving her for someone else. 7 days to become officially the worst person I knew. I got home around 6. Sarah's car was in the driveway but the apartment was dark. No cooking smells, no TV sounds, no humming from the kitchen. Sarah, I called out. And here. Her voice came from the bedroom, flat and strange. I found her sitting on the edge of our bed, still in her coat, staring at something in her hands. She looked when I walked in and her face was different. Older somehow, like she'd aged years in one afternoon. How was the doctor? I asked. She held what was in her hands. A small white envelope. The kind doctors give with test results or instructions. Interesting, she said. Something in her tone made my stomach think okay. She laughed but it wasn't a happy sound. That depends on how define okay. Sarah are scaring me. Good, she said. Should be scared. She opened the envelope and pulled out a piece of paper. Held it so I could see it. Pregnancy test results. Positive. The room started spinning. Or, pregnant. 8 weeks. She folded the paper carefully, put it back in the envelope. Funny thing is, 8 weeks ago we're still pretending to love me, before started working late every night and taking mysterious phone calls and smelling like someone else's perfume. My mouth opened and closed like a fish. No words came out. I know about Emma, she continued, her voice eerily calm. I've known for weeks. The receipts in pocket from restaurants we've never been to. The way shower the minute get home now. The way can't look at me when say love me. Sarah, I hired a private investigator. She reached into her purse and pulled out a manila folder. Thick with photos and documents. Turns out are not as careful as think are. She opened the folder. The first photo was me and Emma kissing outside a hotel. The second was us at lunch, holding hands across the table. The third was me leaving her apartment building just this afternoon. So here's what's going to happen. Sarah said, standing. We're gonna pack things and get out of my apartment. Tonight, Sarah, please let me explain. Explain what? How've been lying to me for months. How've been cheating on me while I planned our anniversary. How've been making me feel crazy for asking questions when I knew something was wrong. Tears were streaming down her face now, but her voice remained steady. Strong. She was stronger than I'd ever been. I know about Chicago, she continued. Emma's new job. Planned to run away together like some romantic movie. Except forgot one tiny detail. She held the pregnancy test results again, carrying baby. The baby made with me while we're planning to leave me for someone else. The weight of it hit me like a truck. A baby. Our baby. Growing inside the woman I'd been betraying for months. A child who would grow knowing their father abandoned their mother for another woman before they were even born. I didn't know. I whispered. Of course didn't know. Haven't paid attention to anything about me in months. Haven't noticed I've been sick in the mornings, tired all the time, emotional about everything. Too busy with girlfriend to notice actual girlfriend. She was right. All the signs had been there. The exhaustion, the mood changes, the doctor's appointment. I'd been so wrapped in Emma that I'd missed my own girlfriend's pregnancy. What do you want me to do? I want to get out. I want to go to Chicago with Emma and pretend this never happened. I want to be the deadbeat father we're always going to be anyway. I'm not a deadbeat. I'll pay support. I'll visit. With what money? We're quitting job to follow Emma to Chicago, remember? Going to start fresh, find something new. Think she'll be excited about child support payments. I hadn't thought about that. Hadn't thought about anything beyond the fantasy of running away with Emma. Hadn't considered the real world consequences of abandoning my responsibilities. Sarah, please. We can work this out. I'll end things with Emma. I'll stay. We can raise the baby together. Think I'd trust to raise my child. Think I'd want my baby to grow watching their father lie to their mother every single day. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. She agreed. Cowards make choices. Chose Emma over me every single day for months. Chose her today when went to her apartment instead of being here when I found out I was pregnant. Chose her when decided to run away to Chicago. Chose her over her own child. She was right, every word deeper than the last, cause it was all true. I had made choices. Selfish, cowardly choices that put my wants above everyone else's needs. I choose now, I said desperately no. After got caught, that's not choosing me, that's just getting backed into a corner. My phone rang. Emma. Sarah looked at it, then at me. Answer it. What? Answer the phone. Let's see what choose when you ask about Chicago. My hand shook as I answered. Hello. Hey. Emma's voice came through the speaker, loud enough for Sarah to hear. I just got off the phone with my new boss. Told him I'd be bringing my boyfriend with me. He's excited to meet, so, we're really doing this, right? Chicago, here we come. I looked at Sarah standing there pregnant with my child, holding evidence of my betrayal, waiting to see if I'd lie to Emma the way I'd been lying to her. Marcus there. Yeah, I'm here. So Chicago. Are we doing this? Sarah watched my face, waiting. Not hoping anymore, just waiting to see what kind of man I really was. I started, then stopped. What's wrong? Sound weird. I could lie to Emma. Tell her something came that I couldn't leave town right now. Then beg Sarah for forgiveness, promise to be a better man, try to salvage something from the wreckage of our relationship. But we both knew I'd already made my choice months ago. Every hotel room, every lie, every time I'd picked Emma over Sarah. The damage was done. Sarah would never trust me again and she shouldn't. I'd proven exactly who I was. Yes. I said finally, we're doing this. Sarah nodded once, like I'd confirmed something she already knew. Then she walked to the closet and pulled out a suitcase, started throwing my clothes into it. Great, Emma said. I'll book us a hotel for tomorrow night, we can celebrate before we drive out. This said watching Sarah pack my into a bag. Amazing, I hung. There it is, Sarah said, not looking at me. Real choice. When push came to shove, when it actually mattered, chose her. Just like have been for months, Sarah. Just don't. Pack whatever, the locks change tomorrow. What about the baby? What about the baby? Just chose to move 800 miles away. Made that decision for all of us. I'll come back, I'll visit, I'll be involved. She finally looked at me, and the expression on her face was something I'd never seen before. Not anger or sadness or, just empty, like she was looking at a stranger. No, won't, because that would require to be a better person than are, and we both know now exactly what kind of person are. I packed the rest of my things in silence. Sarah sat on the bed watching me, one hand on her still flat stomach, already protecting our child from me. At the door I turned around. I really did love. Past tense, she said. Yeah, I figured. I'm sorry. I know sorry got caught. Sorry got complicated. Sorry have to face consequences for choices. But not sorry enough to be different. If we'd be staying. She was right. Again, I was sorry for a lot of things but not sorry enough to actually change. Not sorry enough to choose differently. I left that night and drove to Emma's apartment. Told her about Sarah, about the pregnancy, about how messy everything had gotten. Expected her to be upset, to maybe reconsider Chicago. Instead she held me while I cried and told me it would all work out. Told me Sarah would be fine, that people get over this kind of thing, that starting fresh was exactly what I needed. She didn't ask about the baby. Didn't ask if I wanted to stay and try to work things out. Didn't question whether a man who would abandon his pregnant girlfriend might eventually abandon her too. We drove to Chicago the next weekend. Found a nice apartment, both got decent jobs, played house like nothing had happened back home. Emma posted photos of our new on social media. Sunset views from our balcony, fancy dinners, weekend trips to places Sarah and I had always talked about visiting. For 6 months it was perfect. We were that couple other people envied. Young, attractive, starting fresh in a new city. No baggage, no history, no complications. Then Emma started working late, started getting mysterious phone calls. Started showering the minute she got home. Funny how patterns repeat themselves. I never heard from Sarah again, never met my daughter. Yes, daughter. I found out through social media when one of our mutual friends posted baby pictures. Beautiful little girl with Sarah's eyes and what looked like my stubborn chin. Sarah named her Grace. Grace will grow knowing her father chose someone else over her before she was even born. We'll probably wonder what she did wrong, why she wasn't enough to make me stay. We'll carry that abandonment with her forever, and it'll shape how she sees men, how she trusts people, how she believes she deserves to be treated. Emma left me for her boss eventually. Turned out she had a pattern too, always looking for something better, always ready to trade when a new opportunity presented itself. She moved to New York with him, posted the same kind of photos she used to post with me. New city, new man, same empty pursuit of something that doesn't exist. I'm 32 now, live alone in a studio apartment in a city where I know nobody. Work a job that pays the bills but means nothing. Spend my evenings scrolling through social media, watching Sarah raise our daughter. Watching Emma lever perfect with someone else. Watching all the friends I lost when I chose betrayal over loyalty. Sometimes I see photos of Grace at birthday parties or Christmas morning, and I try to imagine what might look like if I'd made different choices. If I'd been the man Sarah deserved instead of the coward I became. If I'd chosen love over, commitment over excitement, family over fantasy. But can't undo betrayal, can't unfold a lie, can't uncheat on someone who loved, can only live with the consequences of choices, and pray that someone reading this will remember story when they're standing at that same crossroads, thinking they can have it both ways. The worst part isn't the loneliness or the regret or even the shame. The worst part is knowing that somewhere out there, a little girl is growing without a father because I was too selfish to deserve the family I had. Grace will be 4 next month. I won't be at her birthday party.